Hello, the game has started. It's me to go first. I have a fantastic rack. I have a bingo here. I have flagged, and that gets the F doubled. So flagged for 80. Pretty good pickup of 7 random tiles, fairly balanced and no duplicates. I'm not seeing a 7 with this rack. There could be an 8. And quite a few floaters to consider. I've got the IUM ending. Now I have Bummerlotti through the L. That would be a double-double. Do I have anything else? What about the G? Not seeing anything with that. How about the E? Or the D? No, so it's just the L. What if that's blocked? Well, both my M and B can go above the E of flagged and would get doubled. But is there a way of getting rid of the U as well? Well, I could play just UM, but that would leave a vowel-heavy rack leave. Well, that doesn't matter because I do have a bingo. Bummerlotti for 98. Wow, what a pickup. This is the time when I check and make sure everything is recording. And I think it is. So, opponent applies a fly in the ointment with a bingo of his own, scoring 90 points. But look at this rack, absolutely fantastic. Surely I am bingoing. But where are the lanes? Fixating doesn't take an S. I'm not sure about Bummerlotti. It might take an S. If it does, I've got Costian. Do I have anything else? So what are the 7s here? Costian, and I'm pretty sure there is another one. Very high probability. Octanes. And there could be further ones. I'm going to try Costian. I know Costian is good, it's just the hook on Bummerlotti I'm not 100% sure of. And it's good, fantastic. And this isn't the worst rack leave in the world. It is worst rack in the world. It is 5 vowels, but they're pretty good vowels. And there are 5 vowel 8s. So time to look at the floating consonants on the board. What about the B? Not seeing anything with that. How about the F? Doesn't look promising. How about the X? No, nothing through that. And then the M. No. So I think that exhausts the consonants. Nothing with the G, which is a shame. I've got a good lead, 150 points. Hardly surprising when I open with 3 back-to-back bingos. So how to sort this rack out? Well, I guess playing off O and E would be best, and I can do that alongside fixating. What if that's blocked? Well, I have it underneath flagged as well. And although AEIRS is vowel heavy, it's an excellent 5-letter set. And there are a few floating consonants on the board. Nothing amazing. All scoring tiles rather than bingo-y consonants. Now, have I really abandoned the search for a bingo? Could there be a 7-letter bingo here? Well, I don't think there is. But I feel there could be an 8, just not with the floaters that are currently available. Now, this T of Bummerlotti's is available. What about that? Very high probability, but even the high probability 5 vowel 8s are tricky to see. Esoteria, not good, I don't think. Wow, there could be one through the T. Opponent spending a while on this play. What about E to Aerios? Yes, does that fit? Ah, it doesn't. It stops one square short of the G of fixating. Okay, but if the opponent puts a T in the open, I would have eta Aerios. I guess the M is the other slightly promising floater, but I'm not seeing anything with that. Opponent down to 15 minutes. I've still got 18 on my clock. So is there anywhere else for OE? Well, not that outscores the options I've currently considered. But what about alternative words? A couple of triple word squares are available, but they both have vowels in place at the moment. Wow! Gosh, I wasn't expecting another bingo from opponent. That's really good. Now, do I have a bingo through the R? And I don't think I do. But let me consider this in case I do. Well, I'm not seeing it. Fortunately, my first choice of non-bingo remains available. O for 24. I draw the... That's a terrible pick, Q and R. So, well, I would have quarries through a U. No floating U's available. I do have an I for making chi and an S for cheese. Gosh, that's a grim pick. I was playing in an online game recently. I played off one tile this morning, the J, leaving a really bingo-y 6-letter set, and drew the Z. And this feels like a similar sort of bad draw. Now, where can I play my Q? I've also got an A for making cat. So I can play cat in row J, but it would be nice to score. I have Cade in column 8. Wrecking the rack somewhat, retaining ERRS, but that is still bingo-y. And that's a good score for the Q, certainly better than any other Q score I've spotted. Now, it makes me suspicious when an opponent spends a while on his move. He could be lining up a third bingo, and if he's got a triple-triple, he will be overtaking me. He may even overtake me with a non-triple-triple bingo. So, despite my great start, in some ways this is still an even contest, or the contest is not settled. And look at this, 45 tiles to come. How many blanks? None. They've both been played. I had one on my opening rack, and my opponent has just played the other. So what if Cade is blocked? Well, I have the same play in column 3 for a lower score. Am I overlooking any other spots? The effect of so many early bingos is that the board has got spots all over it which require considering. So there could be another Q spot, a spot for a QI perhaps. Not seeing it, still 2 U's to come. So there is the possibility of quarries. The 2 U's that have been played, right next to the B of redubbed. Okay, so that's fine. Just 30 points for opponent. He takes out the triple-triple lane. He leaves available Cade for 42. Great, that looks jolly close to a bingo. The rack could have deteriorated further. So, where are the floaters? Wow, I would have red share through an E, but the L of whirl stops that, or wall. Are there any 7s with this rack? Not sure there are. It's quite a nice rack if I don't have a bingo because I've got the H for score. Wow, opponent's at it again. 76 points for Tranny. And my lead is now just 30 points. What a game. So, is there a bingo here? There are some anagrams of red share, but I don't think any of them have EA together. So that would be a play, for example, beginning here or head. But I'm not seeing a bingo. What about the floating A? Just wondering if harassed can be played with double R. Pretty sure it can't. I'm not even going to check that. Harder's not good. The D is not a floater, nor is the C. What about the T? I keep overlooking that. I think this duplicate R is really problematic and stopping the bingos from flowing. So, I'm looking to get rid of H and R. Where can I do that? 16 minutes on my clock, so a vast amount of time. Still 2 S's to come, otherwise HARD might have been worth considering. Probably not. Now I've got the H for going underneath the C. So I could play RA and CH, but I don't think that's a good idea. I do still lead. 15 minutes on my clock. So, how do I get rid of the R and the H? So I have Ratch, keeping reds, pretty good, but let me check the remaining vowels. 16 out of 38, slightly vowel dry, so I could very easily draw 3 consonants. The floating A of Cade not as useful as it might otherwise be because the F of fixating restricts where it can appear in a word. However, DEARS is quite a good rack leave. So Ratch only 18 points, which is poor, but it does sort the rack out, and I'm not seeing anywhere for just... So that's 18 points. What about this? That is 5 points less, but I'm retaining the A, and I think the A does add 5 points or thereabouts to DERS. So anywhere even better for R and H. Even better, but I'm only scoring 13 points. Rex and Hex are both good. Wow, what about her and high? That's 19 points. That's worth doing, I think. I don't think this A is massively useful. And if it is useful, it's also useful for my opponent. I am going with this. Well, not great. I don't think there is a bingo here. Wow, fantastic bingo for opponent. He now takes the lead. Gosh, and Ratch would have blocked that. Brutal. So, wow, that's tough. 22 tiles in the bag. Do I have a bingo? Probably not. I think if I did, it would have to be a 7-letter play. So the D not available. The E is available, but it's restricted. And I'm not seeing anything with this rack plus an E. FY is good. So I'm just wondering about play. Well, tranny takes an S, so I'd quite like to keep column 14 available. What about playing DEY? This is quite a good rack leave, even though it's retaining the same number of vowels and consonants. Opponent's going to struggle to put a high-scoring tile on this double letter square. FY takes nothing after it, so opponent may be tempted to play across row A, which will be creating new bingo lanes, and more importantly, preserving column 14 and the tranny's hook. Still 3 R's to come, but double R not terrible, but it's not great on this board. Well, apart from column 14, ERS, I'm looking at row N, not great for double R bingos. So I am going with this. So I have revisal, which plays in column 14. Does that have an anagram? Gosh, not sure it does. So I'm hoping opponent will be drawn to the top right. Do I have a play in row N? Well, not with revisal. ET only takes an A of the tiles on my rack. Revisal doesn't play. ARL not good. So what about column 2 through this E? It would have to start next to the W or H. Not promising. So I'm not seeing anything there. Opponent may play across from the I to frustrate column 14, but then there will be a couple of available floaters. I do lead by 10 points, so I certainly don't need a bingo. Front hooks for HER are just C. There's one C to come. "10 minutes on opponent's clock." Fantastic. Opponent, well, he scores well, but more importantly, he leaves alone my bingo lane. And I'm slightly hesitant here because I think revisal may have an anagram. Let me put this back. Does revisal have an anagram? If it does, there may be a better option than the play I just put down. So what would that look like? It may well end in an S. And let me consider each tile as the starting tile. Can't see anything beginning with an A or an E. I. What about the L? No. R. Rival S onto an S. Maybe that's what's coming to mind. Revisals and rival S. Slavia, not good. I think slavey is a noun. And nothing with beginning with V that I can see. So let me go back to this. Revisal for 82. Not a bad pickup, just 9 tiles in the bag, but they include the Z. Now, I have an E for going next to the R. Am I able to get my J doubled in row O? And I don't think I am. I can play Giles, but that's not getting the J doubled. I lead by about 50 or 60 points, but a strong Z play could extinguish that. JO, can I get that to play twice? FEU is good, but JEO isn't. And Gion wouldn't play, even if I had an N. I have Jedis in row A, so I have Jedis and I have Giles. So I do have a decent J score. Wow, I'm close to Jerry's. My A would need to be an E for that. What do I have in column 15? And I may wish to play there if opponent leaves it open, by way of taking out a bingo lane. The best I can see is J, Jirre. But maybe row O is a better lane to take out, I'm not sure. Now, this board is wide open, so there could be some J spots I haven't considered. Let me check the remaining vowel situation. 7 out of 16, so fairly balanced. Anything better than Giles at the bottom? Don't think so. Jedis would leave 2 R's with 1 still to come, so that holds out the prospect of a weak final rack. Well, I think I would play J if Giles is blocked. So Jedis would be my third choice play, and therefore one that's not going to be played. I have Jar in row F, Jar, Or and Red. That would leave quite a nice rack leave. Opponent down to 7 minutes on his clock. Now, what about a play in column 3, JO something C? No, not seeing anything there. Nothing down from AR. What about a play in row N? Nothing. So, opponent taking a while with this play, and understandably so. The game is not lost from his perspective, but I think I must be a strong favourite. Still 6 minutes on opponent's clock. And he can't have a bad rack. This is a pretty promising set of remaining tiles. So I think my opponent's problem is going to be if he doesn't have a bingo, because he's got 2 bingo lanes, so he'll be looking to maximise his chances of bingoing. Wow, 69 points for opponent. He now leads, but only by 5 points. And I have to play in column 15 to take out this bingo lane. The only play I've seen is J, which is quite nice. It leaves 1 in the bag, which I'd like to do. It scores 38 points. Opponent could put the K next to the I for a 30-point play, but that would only draw him level. But is there a way of avoiding that? Let me just put this back. Are there other J plays in column 15? I'm not seeing them. The E has to go next to the R, and J does do something about the duplicate R's. So I'm going with this J for 38. And I draw the K. Fantastic. And the rest of the rack is not too shabby either. I do have an A for going underneath ET, but I'm not seeing a bingo here. It's close, but not close enough. What about the floating E redubbed? No, not seeing anything there. Through an R, I would have darksome. Still 1 R to come. Wow, remaining tiles pretty bingo in. Opponent's got an A for Eta, and that might do it for him. Might just work. However, if he does bingo, he'll go 30 points in the lead. With the K and the M and row O, I may be able to outrun him, but it'll be close. And certainly if opponent bingos, he'll have just a single tile on his rack, so his opportunities for scoring with that will be limited. So 9 minutes on my clock, 4 on opponents. I have Car and Co in column 14 for 34 points. That's pretty good. What else do I have? How about column 3 through O and C? Not seeing anything there. What about row A through this E? Not seeing anything. Opponent may stick his P in front of the I. But look at this. I have row F. I have Mac, Ked, and Or for over 40 points. So that is actually preferable to column 14. But opponent can place his P in either of those spots, but I don't think a good score is enough for opponent. He needs to bingo. And if he doesn't have a bingo, he may well play off a solitary tile. But I think he's going to struggle to do that to create a lane that only he can benefit from, or which I can't block. Kex is good, but I can't see a better play making that than ones I've already considered. I have the final S, but I don't think making a low scoring play in column 8 like Arc is going to be justified when there are 40 points on offer immediately with Mac. Now, is Mac the best I can do? Because Chur takes an E at the end. Just looking to see if I've got plays beginning with E or M something E, and I don't. Okay, opponent plays in that spot. He's abandoned going for a bingo. He's got over 500 points. I trail by 5. And I can see what opponent's got. 9 minutes on my clock. He's got A, I, L, U, all 1-pointers. Does he have an out? Julia is good. That doesn't fit. I don't think it's got any anagrams. He's still got an A for ETA, but I don't think there is a 4-letter word with these tiles. And I don't think going out in 2 is going to be enough for my opponent. Just looking to see if he's got something through OC. I don't think he does. He doesn't have a play ending Zells, fortunately. So this is what I'm seeing. Co, and I need to choose between Co and Car. Look at this, my K and M can both go in front of the Y. Let me just put this back. Am I missing a play in row A? And I don't think I am, which is a shame. So going back to this position here, I can play Co or Car. Can I go out next turn with this rack, Dames or Meads? Meads plays in row N. What about a play through the D? Not seeing anything. What about a play through the E? I think Meased is good. So yes, I do have an out in 2 spots. I'm going with this. And I have 530 points. Which should be enough unless opponent can go out. And almost if he goes out with anything, I think he wins. Because he'll get 16 points on countback. He needs to score 14 points to win. Which he may well do if he can find an out. An out through the D won't be good enough, unless it's through this D of day. Gosh, a play beginning with the H would be enough. But I haven't made this move lightly. I have considered opponents' out possibilities. I didn't see one, but one's never sure that there isn't one, and certainly opponent will be trying harder than me to find that out. He's got 1 minute to do so. So, if opponent doesn't go out, where is my best spot? So I have Meads, Etta, Ard and Naz. And I have Meased beginning next to the O, if that's good. Edemas doesn't play. Do I have a play through this D? I don't think Maids is good. And I'm just looking for a high-scoring play. I don't think there's an out through that D. But I'm just contemplating opponent blocking Meads and Meads not being good. Opponent down to his last 30 seconds. Is he savouring the moment? About to lay down his tiles to win by 1 point. I think flagged takes an OUT front extension. I'm not totally sure about that. Opponent doesn't have it, but maybe that option would have been available earlier. Great, just 14 points for opponent. So 7 minutes on my clock. This is what I'm thinking of. Meads for 20. Is there really nothing better? I don't think so. And the final score, 515 for my opponent, 552 for me, a winning margin of 37 points, so a huge, huge win. Let's see what I missed. Wow, what a game. Both over 500 points. Absolutely amazing. So, it was me to go first, and I had this dream opening rack, and I played flagged. Opponent not so fortunate, plays went. And now I have Bumalotai for 98, which was fortunate since no other bingos available. Now, this rack doesn't look massively promising, but there is a bingo there, and opponent finds it. So we're both off to a great start. I have a choice of bingos, and Kostian scores the most by quite a margin. Opponent's rack, great spot of redubbed. Again, not a massively promising looking rack. And now this was my rack. No bingo. And I played just OE for 24. Yep, keeping AEIRS. I could have played A11. A rise. That's pretty grim. Even setting aside score and rack leaf, sticking an A in the middle of row A. Can't be a good thing to do next to a double letter square, even though there is another triple lane available. But if we are considering score and rack leave, then certainly raise is much more than 11 points better than EO. Raise must be worth about 20 points, I would say. And EO probably negative something, maybe minus 2 or 3. So I'd say there's a 20 odd point difference in those rack leaves and only 11 point score difference. Now, opponent's rack plays well. No bingo for me, but I have Cade for 42. And at this point, I have a 100-point lead and was feeling reasonably comfortable. That didn't last long, as opponent bingos with Tranny. And now my lead has shrunk to just 30 points. I couldn't see a bingo here, and there wasn't one. L12 hard. Well, I don't like putting a D in the middle of column 15, not when a bingo is enough for my opponent, and there are not a massive number of bingo lanes on the board. So instead I played her for 19, which, although it's 13 points less, it's strategically not as dangerous, and it's got a better rack leave, so I still like my play. But look at this. Not a great rack, but opponent has out point. And now I trail by 20 points. But I have quite a nice rack. No bingo. N10 yeeds. Very nice. 54 points. What do? I play day for 30, which I think is fine. It's 24 fewer points. However, I'm keeping a rack leave of ears, E-A-R-S, and yeeds keeps a rack leave of A-R. So does that make up for 24 points, the addition of S and E? It doesn't, but I'd say AR is probably worth plus 3 or 4, and ears, well, again, could be 15 to 20. So I think a big part of the gap is made up, and yeeds does provide access to row O, so I still like my play. Horrible rack for opponent. He plays KB, which is great for me because my rack leave of ears has matured into this bingo, and revisal was the only one. Opponent's rack, and he plays Zells for 69, F7. He could have played Trez, Chert, U and Z for 80. Wow, what a play. But 69 only 11 points shy of that, and he's taking out a bingo lane. Let me go back, and after the Zells play, he does lead. Now, my rack, Raj, I won. Okay, I don't like that, opening up column 1. So I played Jer for 38, and I think that's fine. Now, I have a 30-point lead. There's one tile in the bag, and this is opponent's rack, and he spent a while on this. There is no bingo, and in the end he went with Trope for 38 to take the lead, but only by 5 points. This is my rack. Wow, there is a Zells play, Damo Zells for 60. Well done if you spotted that. I missed it. What did I do? I played Co for 34, keeping maids. Yep, well, I think Damosels would have been better, but Co is good enough. No outs for opponents. Interestingly, if there was an out, I would probably have lost with Co, but I think Damosels would have outrun any out. Now my final... So opponent plays Hall, and finally Meads is the only out. Wow, opponent has blocked Meased with Hall, but there were no other outs apart from Meads. So absolutely epic game. Both of us over 500 points. I'm not sure if that has ever happened before in this particular video series, but absolutely something really quite special. So many thanks to my opponent for such an amazing battle, and I hope you enjoyed watching that game, and I will see you next time.